Hey everybody, it's your buddy's pal Anthony, and today we're going to be talking about Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn. This book is set 2 years after the events of Curse of the White Knight. Spoilers for that coming up because there's something I left out. I wanted you guys to read it for yourselves and experience that on your own. But it's pretty important for this story, so spoilers for Curse of the White Knight as well as White Knight Presents Harley Quinn after the intro. Steve, hit it please. The big spoiler for Curse of the White Knight is, at one point, the inmates of Arkham are moved to a new facility while Jean-Paul Valley is going on his crime spree or his wave of destruction across the city, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, he shows up at the new holding facility. I don't remember if it's called New Arkham, but let's just call it New Arkham. He shows up in New Arkham to free the Joker to enact the final phases of the plan, and while he's there, he figures, you know what, I'm Batman, I'm going to do what Batman should have been doing this whole time, and he decides to wipe out some of the supervillains while he's there. So, before he lets out the Joker, he takes care of Scarecrow, Killer Croc. I don't remember what her name was. From Batman the Animated Series, the character that wouldn't age, Baby Doll, I want to say, as well as Ventriloquist, Penguin, and Two-Face. And that's a big spoiler for that, and it's relevant to this book we're about to talk about, Harley Quinn, because the book is set 2 years after the events of Curse of the White Knight, and in those 2 years, you're told that Gotham's more or less been I won't say a safe city, but it's pretty much not had any superpowered activities, super criminal activities, and it's because they've all been dead. However, that all changes because Harley, who's just trying to do her best as a single mom, gets drawn back into the world of supervillains and craziness because there's a new one in town trying to make a name for himself. We'll actually eventually come to find out that it's a duo known as Starlet and the Producer, and they're making their splash on the Gotham crime scene with what's being called the Golden Age murders. Before Harley decides to help the GCPD, because she's very hesitant, she just wants to be a normal mom living with her kids. You know, she's not doing well. We see that she's struggling with bills and stuff like that, but she's very hesitant to get close to anything like this again because she's worried about her own sanity. And ultimately, it's a trip to see Bruce Wayne, who's currently serving time for his actions as Batman, that convinces her that she's not that person. She's not going to fall back into that darkness because, you know, she's Dr. Harley Quinzel. She's not Harley Quinn, the Joker's girlfriend. She's not any of that. And this time she also has a safety net. She has him. She has the kids, Leslie, Duke, the whole GCPD. So with Bruce's encouragement, she decides to help with the case, and we're off and running. Just like with the other two storylines in this series, I really enjoyed this book. I was really worried that it was going to just be like filler or place marker until the Batman Beyond the White Knight storyline picked up. And thankfully, I was completely wrong. This is a great story. Had a real good time reading it. It feels just like the other two volumes felt. It felt like this was just some sort of alternate universe of the animated series universe. I don't know why. It's just the feeling I got. Something about it. I can't really put my finger on it. It made me feel like I was just reading the more adult version of the animated series stories. And as the story progresses, we see them incorporate some of these elements because the first victim that we see the Starlet character try to murder is none other than Grey Ghost himself, Simon Trent. And it's actually really cool because Simon reveals that he did a lot of his own stunts, so he's able to actually escape the bindings that are used on him, and he fights off Starlet himself, so we get a little bit of like Grey Ghost action scene in this book, which is really cool. And then just, again, everything's really great. You know, they use the GCPD well as a supporting cast, I think. The introduction of these new villains, Starlet and Producer, is done really well. There's an added mystery to it, and there's a bunch of misdirects because there's an FBI agent that's involved working with the GCPD, and you're led to believe that maybe he has something to do with it. You know, they think at one point it's his mother who's actually the Starlet murderer, so maybe he's a producer, or maybe he's just unknowingly involved somehow. And it turns out that his mother isn't Starlet. However, she is to blame for the creation of Starlet because it turns out Starlet is a failed would-be movie star, whereas his mother was a famous actress, and that sets her down the path to becoming a villain. I also really enjoyed how they actually kept this book focused on Harley Quinn and what she's going through and her solving these murders. I feel like it could have been very easy for them to just have Bruce escape from prison, and even if he didn't put on the cape and cowl, since everybody knows who he is, it would have been just very easy for him to work with her from the shadows or kind of puppeteer her like she was a junior Robin, but they don't do that. He's very much still in prison. It's Harley's show, and it's Harley and some of the other supporting cast. You don't see Barbara or Dick or any of them really, but that's okay. Like, it would have again taken away from her and this being her story. So I really like that they just focused on her. And frankly, I wish this wasn't a miniseries. I wish they would kind of keep going with this, because unfortunately, I haven't read anything that says they're going to be doing any more set in this time period. It seems like this is the end of, let's call it the modern or our timeline for the White Knight storyline, because the next one does pick up, and it's going to be 10 years further down the road, and it's going to be the Beyond the White Knight story. So as of right now, I think we're leaving this time period behind, which is a real shame, because they've done very good things crafting this story and making me care about characters that aren't the main Bat family. So that's a shame. But you never know. It is comics. They could come back to it one day. They also do a lot of flashbacks in this book. They tell you pretty much the story of Joker and Jack first meeting, as well as Batman first meeting, the two of them. Obviously, it's not in a good capacity. He breaks into the go-go dance club where Harley's working to get through medical school and, tries to catch Jack. I keep wanting to say Joker. Same character, but he's very much Jack at this point, not the Joker. These flashbacks will follow all the way through them first meeting to Jack disappearing for a while, and ultimately through Harley getting her degree. It's actually, we find out Batman suggests to her that she apply at Arkham. This way she can help Jack try to regain his sanity, because at this point he's disappeared for a while, and then when he comes back, he is the Joker. We get that whole origin story in flashback, which is cool. And I was worried when I started to read it. I thought it could take up, again, I thought it just could dominate the story, and it should have been maybe that this should have been its own thing. Instead of White Knight presents Harley Quinn, it should have been White Knight presents Jack and Harley or something like that to tell their story. But again, not just trying to kiss their butt. They really did, I feel, a good job of balancing everything out. It wasn't too heavy on the flashback or anything like that, so it's still valid to call this the Harley Quinn story. The Starlet murder actually does have a connection to the FBI agent that is working with the GCPD. We find out she was his nanny, and she cares for him, and she wants him to come away with her. Ultimately, not sure if it's like to have a loving mother-son relationship or the other type of mother-son relationship. So either way, that's a whole creepy little thing that they revealed on us, and it's actually takes a very twisted turn, because she's very jealous of Harley Quinn. She's also afraid of Harley Quinn and sees like her as a real threat. Takes it one step too far. She firebombs her house with the kids inside, and Harley gets out, and the kids don't get out. She's outside with the hyenas, and one of them, Lou, goes back in to rescue the babies and manages to do just that. I do actually love how they write these hyenas as if she can actually control them, but like not in a weird way, like just because she's trained them so well, and like the relationship that they have. I like that they're just not her crazy pets, kind of like they were in the animated series. Anyway, so one of them, Lou, goes back in, saves the baby, and doesn't make it, unfortunately. So that just, any dog, hyena, whatever, I'd probably be upset even if it was a cat that they had bite the dust. So that, I just thought was a sad moment that they didn't really need to do, but they did it, and I actually cared about it. So again, my point of view, good storytelling if you can make me care about a hyena. But this leads to the final issue of the run, where Harley suits up in something that Batman had in store for her. Apparently, he just likes having costumes on hand to make anybody and everybody more Batman themed. She gets a new suit, more in line with the traditional colors from the original Batman the Animated Series suit. It's black and gray, bright yellow utility belt that's really more of like a hip pouch thing complete with a gag extendable sledgehammer. That part I was a little bit iffy about, but it ends up working for her. And this story, like the other two before it, ends up working for me overall. I really enjoyed this. I really love spending time in this White Knight universe. I do wish and hope that they'll go back to, explore times while Bruce was still Batman before the events of the first 2 books, even if it's just a miniseries, just to get more of it. And now I want to know what you think. Please let me know if you've read this book, if you liked my review, if you disagree with everything I said, if you agree with some of the stuff I said. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's fight about it. Let's find some common ground about it. I'm going to leave you right now with a word from our sponsor, and then Steve is going to take us out of here. Please.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep in touch with us any further, check us out on Instagram, Reddit, Discord, and any other social media platform. All of our links are going to be down on the bottom. Most importantly, this wouldn't be able to happen without you guys. Every video we do is sponsored by you. Check out the Nerd Foundation and become a member. Or go to nerdaffiliated.com and pick up some of our great merch. Carpe Noctem, everybody. See you around.